I have with me the Lord Mayor of London, Michael Mainelli, who is in New Delhi to hold discussions on a range of issues from the financial services to the technology sector as well as green technology. Many thanks for speaking with NDTV, sir. My first question is with regards to the scope or the potential of the engagement between the City of London and India. What specific sectors do you think this engagement can be taken forward in?
Well, the City of London Corporation has long sought business with India, well, frankly, for centuries. And in fact, my predecessors have been coming here every single year since 2007. So we are constantly developing relations with India. On this particular trip, whilst you might expect the City of London as a financial and professional services center to be wanting to increase trade and cooperation in those areas, and that's certainly true, on this particular trip, we have a heightened interest in cooperating in education, science, and technology. And so I'm looking very much forward on this trip to meeting with people, not just here in Delhi and Mumbai, but also out in Pune.
Another critical area I believe that you'll be discussing is the area of technology, specifically artificial intelligence. Considering this is a year that over 50 countries are going to see elections, and generative AI that has already, in fact, taken shape in elections in Bangladesh and Indonesia. How do you see the cooperation between various countries, and what do you see as discussions going forward between India and the UK on this particular area, considering both countries are up for elections this year as well?
Ah, well, yes, I think the fact that this is a mega election year with over half the world's population going to the polls, or a MAGA election year if you're looking at America, one of the most important things is that we are regulating AI appropriately. There have been a number of initiatives to do so. I think it might be important for your viewers to realize, of course, that AI has been around for a very long time. In fact, some of the stuff written about the ethics of AI was written in the 1940s by Isaac Asimov. And over the last 25 years or so, AI has been incorporated into many different systems. Generative AI, which has taken a lot of the press recently with OpenAI and ChatGPT, is actually just an outgrowth of neural networks, which have been around since the 1970s. In fact, I programmed a neural network myself back, I believe, in 78. So it's not new technology, but the widespread use of it has raised questions, as any new technology does, about its usefulness for good and for evil, opportunities and risks. We are definitely pushing for improved regulation, but ideally through the International Standards Organization, which has existing standards on the control and management of AI, how to develop systems, but also even the ethics of AI. And so during this trip, we're going to be exploring with educators, with AI companies, and with Indian officials and regulators how a standards approach might work for the benefit of the world and keep trade flowing.
Let me turn our focus now to the FTA negotiations between India and the United Kingdom at large. In fact, the 14th and the concluding round of negotiations took place in January. India would very much like to see an FTA taking shape very soon. However, are there still any remaining unresolved issues that both sides are looking at? What's your understanding?
Well, it's important to recognize that the City of London is not party to those negotiations. So we are an observer, like everyone else, looking at both governments and what they're doing. I will say that the general attitude from the United Kingdom and from the city in particular is positive. We would encourage both governments towards an FTA. But even after the FTA is signed, it's only the beginning of a process. And both nations already have extensive trade relations. The idea behind an FTA is to improve those and make those trade relations smoother. So we would clearly encourage that. But even once it's signed, that won't be the end of the process. And hopefully, in many centuries to come, we'll still be discussing how to improve relations and trade between our two nations.
Can you take us through some of the details with regards specifically to the financial services sector? What are your discussions likely to hinge around?
Hmm. Well, there are going to be quite a number of specifics in the financial services discussions that we're having. And I'll pick on one in a moment, but just to give your audience a flavor of some of the technicalities, we'll be looking at how we direct more risk capital towards investments in the long-term development of science and technology. This is one of the paradoxes in financial investment of pensions and asset management is how you actually go about getting people to invest in risky things, which ultimately have greater returns. We'll be looking as well about the insurance markets. I'm looking in particular at space debris retrieval insurance bonds. We'll be looking as well at payment systems. We'll be looking at, as we said earlier, the AI in it. But I think possibly the biggest thing that the City of London has been working with India on has been the UK-India infrastructure bridge. And here, what we've been doing on both sides is to look at improving the pipeline of investable projects here in India and provide access to global capital and finance to fund those. And these are important projects from basic infrastructure through onto new areas such as green energy. For me, one of the biggest things that the City of London has to offer, we're the world's largest and best global financial center. We are the best connected. My theme this year is Connect to Prosper. And what we offer to everyone is an ability to get the best advice. So, as people are looking to invest in India, they frequently come to London for guidance and advice on that. And as Indians look to invest throughout the world, again, London offers an ideal place to come and get the expertise that you need to do that.
And my final question is with regards to green technology, congestion, traffic congestion, as well as things like air pollution. What I want to understand from you is what do you see as something that can be lessons learned from London when it comes to Delhi? Because Delhi is dealing with many of these critical issues of air pollution and as well as traffic congestion. How do you see green tech figuring their climate action? What are these discussions likely to look like?
Well, I think there are tremendous convergences. In fact, ultimately, if there's a great thing about the climate change problem, it's that it's shared globally, and that the air parts per million of greenhouse gases in the atmosphere is the same pretty much across the world, and that it is a problem that we all need to solve together. In terms of things that one can learn, well, it's interesting to me that as somebody who's been to China for over 4 decades, in China, much of the desire to clean up the smog conditions was almost identical to the desire to reduce greenhouse gas emissions. So the two do go to some degree hand in hand, and that's a good thing. In that you'll begin in India to see immediate benefits as you decarbonize because the air here will become cleaner in the urban areas. As far as lessons, well, I think I would draw two big lessons. The first big lesson is that emission trading schemes work. Emission trading schemes were first put forward as a global solution and a global agreement at COP3 in 1997 in Japan. So I think the important thing here is that we have these agreements and they now cover about 23% of global emissions. So I would encourage India to look at using emissions trading schemes wherever possible. These are schemes where an operator is issued a permit at a price, and those permits decrease year on year. So hopefully to zero by 2050, which seems to be the fairly strong international goal. I think the second thing we've learned in London is that consistency of government policy, and that's not just in the UK, that's around the world, makes an enormous difference. And that consistency of policy is a question of trust, and that trust has to be earned over a long period of time. We've seen some interesting areas, particularly in Chile and Uruguay, where the governments have issued bonds whose interest rate goes up if they fail to meet their targets, a bit like inflation-linked bonds, where governments promise to keep inflation under control, but if they don't, then they give bondholders an increased return. So you know that the government's bound into it. But those are the two things we've learned. Emission trading schemes truly work, and secondly, that governments need to find ways of proving that they are going to be stable and consistent over the long term in policies towards net zero.
Lord Mayor of London, Michael Mainelli, many thanks for speaking with NDTV.
Well, thank you. It's a delight to be here with you, Ma.